Breaking the all too common pattern of eating some garbage, feeling ashamed, staying on track on a diet for a couple of days, only to then indulge in junk again and repeat the cycle all over again really doesn't have to be as hard as we make it to be. I would say that there are only a couple of very simple things you need to understand and implement if you wish to quit eating junk food. First off, most people never really ask this question, but it's a very important question. Have you ever really wondered why you crave junk food? Well, besides the many questionable ingredients in those foods that may as well come from the pot of a leprechaun at the end of the rainbow, as far as we are concerned or aware, the reason why those obviously rancid and unhealthy foods are so damn pleasurable to our senses is because of a rather obvious pattern that most people remain unfortunately unaware of. Just think about it for a moment. What is the common link between pizzas, burgers, fries, and all this trash that we shouldn't love as much as we do? The answer is that they all have a very addictive combination of sugar, fat, and usually some sort of meat as well. Those three aforementioned food groups are very appealing to our natural senses because we are naturally designed to seek them. Fat would provide building blocks to the body with a lot of vitamins as well. Meat would provide a lot of protein and also a lot of vitamins. And sugars would help us store fat to survive the harsh winter season. Here are some examples to demonstrate my point. Burger has meat, has fat, has carbs in the bun that break into sugar. Pizza has dairy, which has fat. The dough has carbs, which break into sugar, and it usually has some meat as well too. You get the point. What I'm trying to point out is that you actually don't crave junk food. You just crave the foods that junk food tries to imitate, which are mostly fatty meat and some sugar sources like fruit or honey. So, in other words, if you were to simply replace the junk food with good quality fatty meat and some sugar sources like fruit and honey, all your junk food cravings would immediately disappear completely. Because you'd be getting all you need and all you want and all you crave from your normal diet. So you simply wouldn't feel the need to quote unquote cheat. I feel that this is extremely important to point out because when most people try to embark on a healthy diet, they significantly reduce the fat and meat in their diet, thinking that those things are unhealthy or fattening. Contrary to mainstream nutritional advice, I believe that meat, and especially fatty meat, should be about 80% of your diet. Precisely to avoid junk food cravings and because fatty meat is essentially the most nutrient dense food group there is. And no, there is no real need to be worried about saturated fat or cholesterol because if you do the slightest bit of research, you will find that the lipid heart hypothesis that saturated fat and cholesterol are in any way related to heart attacks, despite what the mainstream medical establishment would like you to believe to sell you statins, has never actually been proven. But in addition to that, I also think that you should have a little bit of a mindset shift to successfully stop eating junk food. This is going to sound extremely counterintuitive, but you must allow yourself to eat junk food. Matter of fact, if you want, you could go and grab some junk food right now. It would actually be helpful here. Yeah, you heard me right. I do not want you to forbid yourself from eating junk food. I want you to allow yourself to eat junk food. You're probably asking yourself, why? Well, when you restrict and forbid yourself from doing something, you create what is commonly known as the forbidden fruit effect. The most well known example is, of course, the very name of this phenomena, the story of the forbidden fruit from the Bible. God told Adam and Eve that they could have essentially any food they wanted, any fruit, any meat, any fish, literally anything they could dream of, anything they could want, anything they could crave. They could have anything they wanted except for the forbidden fruit. The one thing, the one single thing they were forbidden and restricted from eating, they ended up eating. And the same applies to pretty much any other human because, as much as we like to think of ourselves as those powerful, beyond nature creatures that were made in the image of God, we're basically just really smart animals, and we really, really don't like being told no. So always keep in mind that you are allowed to eat junk food. You are always allowed to eat junk food. However, if you would really think about it, you would realize that there is essentially nothing to give up when you give up junk food. I mean, really think about it. If you really, really think about it. What do you really give up when you give up eating those rancid foods? You might say, well, it's the taste. It tastes good. Well, it does taste good, but be honest here. What tastes better? Just a big red fatty steak or a dry patty with two plastic buns? I mean, come on, come on. So, in terms of taste, you're really not giving up anything. Then you could say, but it's cheap. Well, yes, it is cheap in the short term, but not necessarily in the long term. Sure, a good quality healthy steak costs much more than a frozen pizza, but by paying more for the former, you're actually saving money in the long term. It's money that you're not going to have to spend later on surgeries or medication or lost productivity from compromised physical condition. Not to mention, of course, that when you do go the extra mile and buy the more expensive but healthier option, you're obtaining the most valuable asset there is, which is time. So, in other words, more time alive, which is more life. You're obtaining more life. What could be more important and valuable than obtaining more life?